この動画は、戦時中アメリカ海軍が制作したものです。日本軍の特攻戦術を分析し、その対処法を教育するために作られました。音声は英語ですが、翻訳しましたので字幕でご覧ください。一部、気になる表現がありますが、ご了承ください。
Japanese suicide air tactics have been given thorough analysis by our Navy. Consideration has been given to the greatly increased damage potential when Baka-piloted bombs or any of a variety of Japanese aircraft are employed to crash dive ships of Allied fleets. This film presents highlights from a resume of information to date on the suicide threat. Also, the counter tactics and countermeasures developed through experience with such attacks. Specially trained kamikaze units and pilots, hastily organized into suicide attack parties, strike at the fleet with a reckless spirit defined as typical of the Japanese mind applying itself to military problems. To these enemy flyers, there can be no more honorable death than self-immolation in a crash of flame on the deck of one of our warships. Principal differences between suicide plane attacks by the Japanese on a large scale and the conventional airplane attack are as follows. Range of enemy attack is greater because no return trip is necessary. Higher percentage of hits because missile is aimable right up to the point of contact. Suicide pilots are more determined than daring and are not deterred by actual or psychological obstacles. The suicide plane, with or without a bomb, is an extremely effective incendiary agent because of the gasoline carried. Any type of approach may be expected. Deep and shallow dives and low-level runs. The enemy continually varies his type of attack. One recent method has been to approach at low altitude from the bow or astern, parallel to the ship's course, thereby reducing AA fire, and when opposite the ship to execute a wing over and crash into the bridge. In order to effect surprise, a suicide plane may approach over land to avoid radar detection. At low altitude below the radar horizon, in vicinity of or following friendly planes in order to render identification difficult. Use cloud cover. Use maximum speed. Approach from direction of sun or during low visibility. Employ simultaneous multiple attacks using one or more planes as decoys. Regarding the use of radar, the Navy reports that standard surface and air search radars have limitations which make early warning of approaching suicide craft difficult to obtain, particularly near large land masses and in bays, gulfs, or harbors. Presence in the area of owned planes split into many groups makes accurate tracking an arduous procedure, and it's therefore possible for a few enemy aircraft to get close to the target undetected. The Navy's recently introduced SP radar improves detection of low-flying planes and the altitude determination for fighter direction. Numerous recommendations for countermeasures have been made by officers of the fleet who've experienced suicide attacks. Greatest emphasis is placed on Navy gunnery, calling for heavier concentrations of AA fire. The directive is to open fire early, accurately, and in volume, and to keep on shooting. Hitting the source of the attacks before they can be launched. Employing carrier planes, the Navy has found the following methods most effective. Fighter sweeps of enemy airfields to destroy planes on the ground and airborne over the fields. Bombing of the airfields to destroy fixed installations. Use of long delay fuses to harass enemy activities at the airfields. Night fighter and intruder missions to prevent the enemy from flying reinforcements into or operating from his fields during the night. Recognition is vital. All friendly aircraft must be indoctrinated to return to their own dispositions with IFF on. The Navy also states that they should be alert for enemy aircraft returning close to or with them, and if unable to attack the enemy planes, should advise their own base. Whenever possible, friendly planes should join up to return in large groups and not confuse radar operators with many small formations in the area. Friendly planes must avoid flying close to formations of surface vessels. When imperative for friendly planes to approach surface vessels, the planes must take care to do so in a manner which cannot be construed as hostile. IFF must be checked for operation. Radio communication should be established. Definite prearranged altitudes and courses must be flown, and at night running lights must be turned on. The Navy points out that suicide planes emphasize the importance of its lookout technique and calls for daily recognition training. Lookouts are directed to confine their attention to assigned sectors, even during attacks, and to avoid sightseeing and distraction. In discussing firepower, distribution of targets is stressed, referring to ships of a formation as well as to guns of a single ship. The Navy discourages concentrated fire at a single suicide plane while allowing others to approach unnoticed. No easy solution exists, but each ship and group is told to work out and enforce a system based on its own characteristics. VT fuses are recommended as extremely effective against suicide planes. Their limitation is their arming distance, 400 to 800 yards, and difficulty in getting the 5-inch gun aimed at the target and loaded quickly enough. Training to reduce this time and increase local control effectiveness is called for, so that VT fuse projectiles may be used in greater numbers. Additional data on kamikaze tactics is available through naval intelligence based on action reports, enemy propaganda broadcasts, prisoners of war, captured documents, and eyewitness accounts.
ご視聴ありがとうございます。